G'day, guys. Welcome to Superchargers. I'm Daniel Thomas. And on this episode, I had an awesome chat with marketing expert or guru, Chris Pistorius. Chris has a boutique agency over in the States, but he helps people with all things marketing around the globe. Enjoy this one, guys. Let's go. If you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your journey and how you got into marketing, both personal and professional, and if there was any obstacles that along the way that taught you big lessons.
Yeah, for sure. So I started this agency in 15 years ago. So I'm not good at math, but that was right in the kind of last quarter of the Great Recession. So maybe one of the worst times possible to start a company is when I did it. And I left a pretty cushy job with a good salary. And at the time, I had two little kids, wife, of course. And it put a lot of strain on, as you can imagine, on myself and the family. So, just starting the company was really, you know, level setting and complicated, and timing wasn't great. But I just kind of I figured out my path. And I think starting a company during that type of financial crisis, if you will, you know, calloused me a little bit, so that anything that, came up like COVID recently, and, just the normal ups and downs of running a business, really has calloused me to be able to get through just about anything that comes in front of us.
It prepared you for battle.
Yeah, battle tested, I guess, right?
So had you always been sort of gearing towards essentially being your own boss, that it always sort of felt like you were going to go that way eventually? And I understand you worked for some pretty big companies like Google
Yeah.
and Warner. What did
Yeah.
working for those big guys teach you once you went out on your own?
Well, it actually motivated me to start my own, because I saw so many these big companies, big corporate America. Sometimes it's not about doing the right things. Sometimes it's just about getting the stock price where you want it. So, when I was both of actually three large media companies, I learned a lot about, what not to do, unfortunately. And, we were out selling stuff that we didn't know if it worked or not, and we didn't care. We just wanted to sell something so that we could get the stock price and hit our goals and things like that. So it made me want to start my own agency and do the right things for small businesses. But I also saw a gap in the market when I was at these companies where, back in the day, you could go buy yellow page ads and your marketing strategy was pretty simple. It wasn't very complicated. But when the internet kicked in, it became more complicated, because there's all of a sudden 500 different places you could go spend your money as a small business for marketing. And most small businesses didn't know what to do, so they're focused on running a small business. They're not marketing experts. So I saw that gap, and I was like, all right, well, this agency will do the right things for our small business, our clients, and we'll bridge that gap and sort of untangle the web, if you will, and help our clients figure out the best places to market online.
For people who are just overwhelmed, like obviously the internet was an absolute game changer, but for people who, are trying to market a small business and they're just overwhelmed by the technology,
Yeah.
how do you make a start with those guys when it comes to marketing? I mean, obviously it's about getting the people in who could do it if somebody's not savvy with it. But for somebody who's just feeling overwhelmed with the entire technological ecosystem, call it, what's your advice just to get the ball rolling?
I think my advice there would be not to try to take on everything at once. Don't try to drink water out of a fire hydrant. Take small steps. Set weekly goals for what you want to learn, and learn just about that as until you feel comfortable, and then go on to the next thing. I do that a lot now, just not with technology. Just I have a very busy day, and sometimes it's overwhelming to think about all the things that I have to do. And I found that if you just kind of take it in small bites versus trying to swallowing it once, all of a sudden at the end of the day, you've got most of everything you wanted done. So I think probably take small steps towards that.
I've worked in a few companies as well, and I always found it hard to serve these companies if I didn't feel sort of morally aligned. But it sounds like that's really important to you, in what you're doing with your clients. Is this, call it, alignment of moral values? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to leave our clients better off than when we started with them, because it's their business, and their business is their life. It's their family. It's their, how they put food on the table. And if you start messing with that and just not doing the right things, then you can really put somebody in a bad situation if you give them bad advice.
How important is trust in this, building trust?
Yeah, so we do a lot of authority building, which builds trust. So we want to make sure that our clients are really the authority of whatever it is that they're doing in their market. And we do that by publishing a lot of content for them as them being the expert in something. So we'll even go as far as helping them write books, hiring ghostwriters, or maybe they've already started a book, and we publish that book, put it on their website, put it on social media. We cut it up into little bites like chapters, and use it as like mini courses or mini books. We do a lot of blogging for our clients. So it just builds authority for them, makes them look like a leader. And it looks, obviously trust goes in with that. The other thing are online reviews, for our clients. We manage those for them, and that builds a lot of trust. As long as you have consistent, good reviews coming in for your business out on Google and, other review sites, that helps as well.
That's actually really cool that you start with the book or the blog, as opposed to, hey, we're just going to smash you everywhere, when they haven't actually built like a presence anywhere.
It's like dating. You go out on your first date and the first words out of your mouth isn't, you want to get married, right? You got to build a relationship first. You got to build that trust, and then, make sure you're compatible. You go through that whole process, and then you get to that point. Well, it's the same thing with marketing. And we found that especially like with Facebook ads. Facebook is a platform where you can't target somebody based on what they're searching for. You target them based off of demographics like age and, income, things like that. And, that means that they're not necessarily looking for whatever our client is selling, right? So you've got to introduce yourself to them first, build that relationship, build that trust, and then you can get to the point where, hey, oh, we do this, and why don't you come see us, So when we take on a client, one of the first things we talk about is, who's your ideal customer, right? Who is it that, ideally, when you created this company that you want to work with, that you want to come through this door, who do you want to be your customer? What do they look like? How old are they? Is it a 25 to 34-year-old female with 2.5 kids and a golden retriever, owns her own home, drives a BMW? And we call them customer avatars. And so we create those first. And then it's our job, once those avatars are created, is to go figure out where those people hang out and then get that message in front of them. So that's what makes Google ads, or I'm sorry, Facebook ads and Instagram pretty appealing, is because their platform's set up to where you can target people demographically like that. Whereas with Google, it's a different set of rules. You bid on keywords, like what people type into the search bar. Which is great but you can't target on demographics like I just talked about. It's all about the keywords that they type in and their location, like where are they in the world, right? So we could take a dentist and bid for the keyword dentist near me in Billings, Montana, and that's the only place those ads would show up. So we're able to target that pretty specifically. Now, the difference is between the audiences is Facebook, we don't know if they're looking for a dentist or if they're not, right? Because it's all demographic based. Google, if they type in a keyword dentist near me, or how much do dental implants cost, that's a pretty hot client. They've kind of got their credit card in hand and they're ready to buy. And you can talk to them in a different manner. So you can kind of skip that relationship building because they're ready to get married. And so you can go right after them. Whereas Facebook, it's different. But yeah, we feel as though when we start a campaign, we've got a pretty good idea of, who our audience needs to be. And it takes us a couple of months probably to fine tune that, and target just those people.
So do people usually have a really clear idea of who their audience is? Like in the
No.
dentistry field, like dentistry is quite broad, right, in terms of age and so do you find that people find it hard to really hone in on their demographic?
Yes, they usually, when we ask the question like, "Who's your ideal patient?" if you will, we kind of get this, kind of deer in the headlights look, because they don't really know. They just, dentists want a dentist. They're not marketing experts, and that's where we come in. But I think that, all small businesses really need to be able to identify that. And I don't have any data behind it, but I would guess that a good majority of them don't know right now who it is they want to come in, or targeting those people. And from a marketing standpoint, when you know your audience and it is defined, that defines your that helps you with marketing in terms of spend and cost, because before, if you didn't know who you're targeting, you're just kind of throwing stuff against the wall and hoping something sticks. With a more defined audience, you can go more specifically and targeted towards those people. So to answer your question, no, most clients that we work with don't really know, client wise or patient wise, who they want to work with.
And it's cliche, but I think it would be far better to have a community of 100 people who are genuinely interested as opposed to 1,000 who have no interest whatsoever.
Without question, yes.
And then build from that seed. That little village can like expand. If you just want to it seems like if you want to contact anyone at Google or YouTube or anything, it just feels impossible. It just feels impossible.
Yeah, they're set up that you don't really want to, you don't talk to them. Once you got to get into their systems, and especially on the advertising side of it, if you're spending money with them, there are lifelines out there where you can connect with some of their people. And then it's just luck of the draw if you actually are talking with somebody that knows what they're doing. So that's why we've hired some of the best Google Ads people on the planet. And I think probably a lot of Google's client support people could learn from them. So we don't usually have to reach out much unless there's, just something technically wrong or billing or something like that. So you can reach out to them, but usually it's only if you're spending money with them.
Hope you're enjoying the show. Quick shout out to Modern Mammals. These guys make a shampoo alternative for men. So if you're a dude out there and you want a product that leaves your hair feeling awesome, I can't recommend these guys enough. If you use the code 10DThomas, you get a 10% discount. And for any orders over $50, shipping worldwide is free. Back to the show. What are your thoughts on the TikTok world?
It's lots changing with TikTok right now, as you've probably heard in the news. There's a lot of talk about banning it in the United States, which I don't know. I don't think that will ever happen. I just think it's a lot of busy talk, but who knows? But I do think that video, as a marketing tool, which TikTok is all about, is powerful and can be very powerful for businesses. You just have to be creative with it. I think the days of, having a professional video crew come in and, be very formal, and, I think those days are over, since these fancy iPhones are out now, and Samsung phones. They are pretty darn good cameras and video cameras, and you see people just ad-libbing it and shooting videos on their own, in a fun, creative manner. And I think that if businesses can convey a message in a fun and creative manner with video, it will work very well for them. And a platform like TikTok or YouTube, or even Facebook has ads that you can run with, called Reels, that are just short clips of videos. They can work really well for small businesses.
One thing I've struggled with is this idea of niching down. Do a lot of different things, and it's kind of frustrates me that the only way to kind of get the algorithm to cooperate is to really niche down, which I understand because it becomes so clear and specific. But when you're kind of a multifaceted person who does a lot of things and doesn't want to sort of be narrowed in one lane, it feels like it's that broadness just gets lost. I mean, what you're dealing with is very specific. A dentist is, if it's a dentist, that's very specific. But what do you sort of advise or recommend if somebody does a broad range of things in their business?
Yeah. So, when I first started our agency, we took on everybody we could find because we needed clients. So we took on anybody that would pay us pretty much. And what we learned is that, we did want to niche down because we found our niche. We worked with a few dentists at the time, and we liked working with them. We got good results. They paid their bills, which is always good. And so we niched down at that point, and it does really clear your marketing schedule because you're going after one particular market. But before that, when we were trying to market to everybody, we didn't have the money just to be able to, run everything at once and just target everybody. So what we tried to do is some market research on, if we're going to pay for advertising dollars, what are some of the best, targets we do want to go after. And we prioritized it that way. And I think that could be a good way to look at it. It's like, who would you can accept any client you want, but who do you prefer to work with? It kind of goes back to that customer avatar. And then the people that you enjoy working with the most are the companies. And that's what you target at first anyway, with some advertising spend.
How do you go about balancing your time? Are you really regimented with scheduling, like we said earlier, or are you more sort of flexible and adaptable on day to day? Do you have like a heavy morning routine? What works for you?
Yeah, I'm a little more fluid. I probably should have a little better schedule, but I don't. Um, for me, it was hiring a really good team that can handle the day-to-day operations of the company. I mean, we're a boutique agency. We want to be small so that we can have that extra level of care for clients, but there's still 20 some of us that work here. So we're big enough to get things done, but we're also small enough to make sure we're getting the results for our clients. But the leadership team, if you will, that I've built is remarkable, and they take care of 90%, 90+% of the day-to-day stuff that's going on, and they keep me out of that so that I can do things like this, like be on a podcast and help build our authority online. I've got my own podcast too, and I'm more of the visionary of the company. I'm kind of trying to steer the company on where we're going to go and what strategies we're going to enable for our clients and things like that. So my advice there is, build a good team, and they can really help you. I mean, one thing that helped me too when I first started was I made a list of everything that we needed to do in the company, right? What has to happen like on a daily basis. And then I put them into departments like customer service, finance, whatever it may be. And then I prioritized the ones that I hated doing the most. So like for me, it was like the customer service part of it. I'm not good at it, and that was one of the first people I hired, was somebody to do the customer service for me, because I knew I wasn't good at it and I didn't like to do it. And if I don't like to do something, I'm not good at it, that potential is going to cause burnout very quickly for me. So as I got bigger and I hired, I just slowly checked off the things that I don't like to do. And those are the priorities that I had to hire first. It could work for, maybe some of your audience as well.
Yeah, it's really about being brutally sort of honest about what our individual skills are and the way we're made, and like honing in on that. What you said exactly is spot on, in that if you're just putting energy into something that doesn't kind of groove with you, it kind of doesn't end well or most effectively. So yeah, that sounds like this awesome team that you've built just free you up, which then in turn generates, greater growth and benefit for everyone.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
How powerful do you think podcasting is in this marketing world?
Yeah. So like I told you, I've got my own. I try to do as many of, other people's shows as well. And podcasting is weird because I'm the type of person that, if I run Google ads, I want to know exactly what I get out of it. Right. If I run Facebook ads, I want to know exactly what I track everything that way. Podcasting is a little harder because you never know, because I publish these podcasts. Like I'll put this episode when it's done on my website and I send it out to, my list and all of that stuff. But it's harder to measure. What I do know though is that I get more leads and I get more sales when I'm really active in podcasting. And I think it's just because people, that may be on the fence with us see that we're, an authority leader in the space and on business in general. And that it builds trust with them. And I think it does help. You can track things like downloads and views and, things like that, but that doesn't always resonate to, you know, you got this many clients from it. I think that what happens is that they may see a podcast or they may know about us, and then they go to the website and then they see that we're on podcast. I think it's something that helps just confirm their thought that they want to work with us. So it's been very powerful for us. And I notice a difference when I get lazy and I start not doing the podcasting like I should. I can feel, that within the business.
Do you believe in this day and age it's possible for the quality to still rise and be seen without a strong marketing behind it?
Yes and no. Our jobs isn't just to make our clients visible, because it is a busy space, as you mentioned. But we try to do what we talk about a lot here is, how do we make sure our clients are found and chosen? Those are two very different things. Just to be seen online isn't good enough. That doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately. What does is when they're found and they're trusted, and they, the whole marketing thing of know, like, and trust you. That's really our jobs. So, and where you make that difference, I think, is in the messaging, in the content that you write. So, just because somebody sees you, do you stand out from the crowd? And that's where the marketing side of it, I think, really is powerful. Now, if you don't have a marketing budget and, you can't compete in, as of right now, there are things that you can do that are, for free, or very low cost, very common sense type marketing. And, I'm not going to get into the details of everything right now, but there's a book out there that I think everybody should read if you're starting a business, or even if you've had a business for a while. It's called Duct Tape Marketing. I can't remember the author's name. I've got it somewhere, but just look up Duct Tape Marketing. John Jansch, I believe, is the author's name. And that book is really powerful with just, non-expensive, common sense things that you can do to compete in a crowded space. And I think that would be my best advice with that.
Do you have a typical first question you ask when dealing with a new client?
I get, yeah. Because we really, we're not a huge agency, so we don't take on everybody. We really try to, take on the ones that we feel are in our wheelhouse, if you will. And, we feel like we can help the most. So really the first question I always start out with is, why now? Why us? What's going on in your business where you think you need help? And that tells me a lot right there.
It's a tradition on the show to have guests offer some kind of challenge to listeners. It can be anything really. It could be something from your personal or professional life. Maybe for somebody wanting to start a business, or somebody who knows very little about marketing and wants to push something. Do you have anything that springs to mind?
Yeah, I think for me, it's, read a book, put a challenge in front of yourself of try to find something that's in your niche, if you will, or if you're your industry, find books about it that are, highly rated, and try to read one a week. I did that for a long time. And, when you start a business, you're not necessarily an expert in hiring or firing or recruiting or marketing or, really anything other than, most people start a business because they're good at, baking cakes or working on cars or whatever it may be, but you're not necessarily good at the other parts of the business aspect. And that's why a lot of small businesses, at least here in America, fail, is because people start something because they're good at one thing, but the problem is they're not good at running a business, right? And that's why dentists hire us, is because they don't know how to market. In dental school, they don't teach them how to run a business. They teach them how to be dentists. So that's where we can really help out. So in your case, or your audience's case, get good at the other parts of your businesses if you have one, or, if you don't have a business, get good at other things that you're interested in and expand your horizons, and do that by reading books. I think one a week, you could definitely knock down. or
That's awesome.
audiobooks.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think like I spend a lot of car time driving my son, and I've just
Yeah.
maximized that time by listening to books because
Yeah, you got it.
I got, rather than getting frustrated at traffic, I was like, how can I benefit? How can I make this time
Exactly.
useful? And with audio these days, it's like you can just consume knowledge in pretty mundane times, like driving.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it.
Where can people find you in the business?
Yeah, just go to my website, kickstartdental.com. And whether you're a dentist or not, if you want some advice, I'd be more than happy to help you out at no cost. There's a free strategy session button on my website. I do all of those myself personally. So if you schedule a time on that, it'll be with me. I'd be more than happy to spend some time with you and your business and, for free, and give you some advice and some of the things that I think might help you.
You're based in the States, but do you offer that globally as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I saw we were in the park the other day, and I saw a plane fly over, and it had text behind it. And I
Mm-hmm.
looked up. I looked up, and I thought, I bet you it's a telephone company ad or something. They've
Yeah.
paid money to fly over the city. But I looked up, and it was some bloke asking his wife to marry him.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, this guy's really invested. But the plane went over so fast. I was
Oh.
like, imagine she missed it, or she was, she'd gone to the bathroom or something.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Yeah. That would be bad.
But that's kind of old school marketing, isn't it? Getting a plane to fly over with text on the back.
A little bit. Yeah. Some of it is. You just got to get the plane to fly over enough times so that everybody sees it.
Cool. Well, Chris, I really appreciate your time. There's a lot there, and
Sure.
like I say, I think it's a universal, business and navigating the internet and how you get yourself out there. And like you say, you can get yourself out there, but it's more than that. How do you build the trust and the authority
Yeah.
in the space? So I really appreciate those little nuggets from all your experience.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I had fun.